Hey, what's up everyone out there? Thanks so much for tuning in to another Addicted Fishing video. Today it's something a little bit special. We are super excited to announce a partnership with Costco. We actually designed a special winter chrome kit for the holiday season. So we're gonna go through right now and just show you guys what's in the kit, talk about where you can get it all, and then Jordan's gonna show you how to rig it up and hopefully catch a fish on it. Is that the plan?
Yep, Santa's gonna show you the way.
Santa's gonna show you the way. So this is it, guys. It is the Mustad Addicted Winter Chrome Kit. And basically what we did is we kind of put everything in there that we thought you could basically get out to the river and catch some fish with. So we're gonna open this thing up. We haven't even really got to unveil this thing or see. We know what's in it, but we actually haven't got to see it. So it's gonna be kind of exciting. So we're gonna just freaking open this thing up. It's got like a little card on the back and it folds around. And as you can see, it's got like our logo, a little description on there. Pretty freaking sweet. And then Jordan, this thing is just loaded. Come on in here close, Sean. It's loaded with everything you need. What we got here is a couple of the Addicted Mustad floats. And then we got a few different variations of just random ball jig heads if you want to tie your own jigs or do anything like that. And then we've put some of our special worm head jigs in there because we know a lot of you guys like to fish worms. So we wanted to include that for sure. Then we have a 30-pound spool of Tough Line in high vis, and we got a 12-pound spool of Tough Line fluorocarbon, and a limited edition sticker that you can only get in this Costco box. This is our winter, I don't even know what you'd call it, our winter addicted
Winter
sticker.
special.
Winter special,
yeah.
Winter special. So huge shout out to Costco. We're excited to be working with them. Make sure you guys, during the holiday season, you guys get to the Costco stores in the Northwest. I think these are gonna be hitting the shelves like sometime in the end of November. So get to Costco, buy these things up. Thanks again. Jordan, let's freaking rig this thing up.
Let's show exactly what this box is all about here. So what I'm gonna do first, I have my float fishing rod. This is an Okuma. It's 10.5 feet long. I have on this C40 reel a little bit of backing of 20-pound test. That's just to conserve braided line. That's not super important, but you can tie this braid right to that bail and use it just the same. So I'm gonna grab my bit of line here. I'm gonna connect these two lines with a blood knot, which I'm just gonna whip out really quick for you guys. If you wanna learn more about the actual technique of a lot of the stuff I'm tying right here, go down to the description here, go into our YouTube channel and check out some of our tutorials that will show you in-depth, step-by-step instructions on how to tie a lot of the stuff I'm gonna do here. So, do 7 this way. Okay, now that I've joined those two lines here, I'm gonna clip my little tag ends here. Just like that. You wanna make sure to get these nice and short so that they don't hang up on your bail or on your line as you start to reel that in. So now that I have that braided line sitting here ready to go, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hold the line just above the reel here, and I'm gonna fill this bail. This is what we call the bail. This is the reel, of course, and we're gonna fill this reel all the way up to the edge, and I'm gonna show you what a full spool will look like. You don't want to have it too full and you don't want to have it too empty, because what's going to happen when you do that, if it's too full, too much line's going to come off at one time and create a big mess and a bunch of knots in your line as you go to cast. And if you have too little line, you're not going to be able to cast a long distance because there's going to be that resistance from all that line coming off and hitting the edge of the top of the spool here. Lay it out. There. So you can see how I haven't filled it up too much. It didn't come past that little lip and that little bevel. So it's all the way down, filled completely. It's about 300 yards of line there. So next step, it's kind of just like the one we just did. We're gonna add our leader to attach our fixed float. So what we have here is the XS 12-pound fluorocarbon leader. We have to attach this leader to the end of the braided line so that these fixed floats will actually go up and down on that fluorocarbon or that monofilament line, because it won't work efficiently on that braided line. It'll cut through the rubbers, and also you're going to want to have that little bit of clear line in between that high vis line so that that fish isn't seeing that high vis line as your presentation is going downriver towards them. So I'm fishing a spot here that's probably about 12 feet deep, so I'm going to go about 12 feet of bumper here. Get that off. Then again, I'm going to attach this to the end of my main line with just another blood knot. Okay, so now that 12-foot bumper is attached with that 12-pound test, I'm gonna go right to the sweet part of this and the Addicted fixed float. Now these are very, very versatile floats. They're something that we designed with Mustad, and really the efficiency of them is that the line goes through the bobber rather than around the outside of the bobber, so that this thing is always connected to your line. Whether you're fighting a fish that's taking off through fast current or anything, that's gonna stay on your line the whole time. So that's why we designed it that way. But as you can see here, we have a couple of these little gold rings, which are our counterweights on these. So depending on which size jig you're gonna fish in here, you're gonna wanna remove one of these weights. If you're fishing only a 16th ounce and you wanna be able to cast further, you're gonna leave these weights on. These are for casting as well as performance in the water, bobbing up and down. So it's gonna depend on what kind of run you're fishing, but you'll get the gist. And again, go and check out some of our bobber fishing tutorials. This one's just a little helpful hint to get you guys going. But we're gonna take these two little O-rings off, and then we're gonna remove one of those brass rings here. Toss that in there, slide that O-ring back up onto the bobber there. But I'm not gonna add my little grommet quite yet, because what I have to do first is add the top rubber tubing from the top of that bobber so that we can secure the top of that bobber when it is time and we want to set our depth. So I'll go just like this. From here, I'm not gonna attach it yet. I'm gonna go through the hole here, through the body of the float, down, and then I'm gonna grab the other rubber tubing here, slide it down right to that bobber. I like to get it a little wet first, and I'm gonna slide that right over just like so. Slide that other guy back down there, get it wet, slide it over, and we are ready to fish, you guys. So from here, the hard part is choosing your jig color. Each one of these jigs in this box works great in its own form. We have 16th ounce jigs, we have 1/4 ounce jigs, and we have 1/8 ounce jigs. And these are gonna be all used in different realms, whether it's faster current, deeper water, so on and so forth, to match the style of water that you're fishing. So today, I'm gonna go with one of my favorites that pretty much works anywhere that I know of, and it's pretty Christmassy as well. Black head, red body. So now I'm just attaching this with a simple fisherman's knot, 8 wraps back through the hole that I created, wet my knot, and pull it tight. Again, trying to keep all our trimmings and all our extra pieces of line in our box so that we can take it home and throw it in the garbage rather than on the riverbank. So now that is the complete setup here. What we're gonna take you guys and do next is we're gonna turn around and we're gonna cast into the river and show you a tiny bit of the technique and the style of presentation that you wanna use when fishing these fixed float systems. So the first step you're gonna wanna overcome when using this fixed float system is getting used to casting the length of line that you're gonna have out given the depth that you're fishing. That bobber slides up and down your line to adjust to the correct depth that those fish will be sitting. So today I'm starting at about 4.5, 5 feet. The way I wanna start my cast is always upriver at 45 degrees, and you wanna end your cast downriver at 45 degrees, trying to allow that bobber to sit straight up and down and have the most natural flow presentation with the current speed the entire drift. So what I'm gonna do here to start, I'm gonna cast upriver at 45 degrees, starting somewhat close, not casting all the way to the far side of the river. I'm gonna keep my rod tip high, making my line only touch about half the distance it is from me to my float. Why I do that is so that that line doesn't grab the rest of that water current and make that bobber go faster or slower than it should. You can see how it's sitting straight up and down, floating evenly with the current. If it does go under, it's either a fish or it's bottom, but I'm always gonna react the same no matter what. And I'll show you in just a second here what that is. Once you get to about that 40-degree angle, I'm gonna open my bail. I'm gonna keep my hand near my reel and I'm gonna start feeding line, allowing this bobber to just slowly float down into the meat of the run. Okay, so now that I've made my first cast, I let it go about 75 yards downriver, and I didn't let it go any further because if I want to fish further down into the run, I can walk with my feet down to that area and keep that distance of my bobber within about 50 to 75 yards of myself so that I can effectively react when a fish does bite. So, the only thing I'm going to do different on this cast, I'm not going to change depths, I'm just going to cast further out in the river by about another 15 feet. There he is! So, as you guys saw there, as that bobber was slowly going downriver, it was sitting straight up and down. There was no obvious signs that I was hitting bottom, but it obviously drifted into a piece of structure, but you saw my reaction when that bobber went down. I'm always gonna treat the bottom and a fish the exact same way. We have a motto in the fishing world, and it's hook sets are free. So whenever that bobber goes down, you're gonna reel down to where you have a straight point of contact with your bobber, and without stopping your lift throughout the entire course, lift all the way to the sky and hold. What I don't wanna see people do is set the hook and then drop their tip back down. Because you'll either one, give slack to the fish and he'll come off, or two, you'll get tip wrapped and end up breaking your fishing rod. So I'm snagged over there. I'm gonna try a couple tricks to get this thing off of there, and we're gonna keep fishing. All right, so we were able to get that off. I slid my bobber down about 4 inches so that I'm not actually going to be hitting that structure that's on bottom. I'm gonna stay just off the bottom and make a cast just a little bit further this time. All right, so I made about 3 or 4 casts. I'm gonna stay efficient. I'm gonna go back over to the box while we put so many different colors in there so that you guys can use them. So I'm gonna change this jig out, grab a different color, get it in the water, and see if that helps me get a bite. So I'm gonna change profile, I'm gonna change color completely. I'm gonna go with a 16th ounce down from the 1/8 ounce. This ought to work. All right, well, we're gonna stay persistent and keep fishing this hole, but here's a few clips for you guys just to see how effective this setup really can be.
So there you have it, everyone. Hopefully that teaches you how to get out there and catch some steelhead on these fixed floats in this Costco setup. We're super excited to have this. If you guys can do us a huge favor, get to Costco, buy these things up, buy them for friends, buy them for family. We appreciate it. They will be in the stores sometime in end of November, early December, so right in time for Christmas. Thanks again for tuning in. We appreciate it. If you guys want to watch more videos, make sure you guys click this one right here. And if you guys are not subscribers, here's a little button right here you can click to subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you on the river.